Welcome back to the tavern. We're glad to be here, and it's been a 2-week hiatus. Jack and his son and his wife had COVID, and we're happy that they're feeling better and back in the hot seat. So welcome back, guys.
It was a tough one.
So we have an interesting topic today. We're just in the forming stages, of course, just talking stages. But it's been something I've been talking about for over 30 years. And 2 weeks ago, I kind of hit on it, and I actually got some applause from Jack. But as voters, we have a tremendous responsibility, a civic duty to vote people into office who we feel will benefit us and our families, based on our beliefs. And when you pull up the number of registered voters in the United States, they say there are over 268 million people on record. I think it's more like 150. But give or take 20 million, it doesn't really matter right now. I didn't have time over the last couple of weeks to get to the Board of Elections to see how many people there are, especially here in South Carolina, between doctor's appointments and stuff like that. Been pretty busy. We got overtime at work, short staff, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Go figure, right?
Well, if you're going to get paid for sitting home.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
You know? And I finally figured out how to put each podcast on YouTube. So that was a big plus. So you can listen to every single podcast that we've done so far. We're on YouTube. So check that out.
Good job.
And also been busy. Jack and I plan on writing a book. And it's going well. It's actually fun getting edited. It's all our podcasts put together. And hopefully we'll have it out by the end of the year.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. So we still don't have a name for it. Possibly just Two Average Guys. But Margaret's come up with a couple good ones. And
Yeah, Two Average Guys, and Margaret wants to try and tie in who we are, other than Two Average Guys. So we don't have too many titles, because we have the United States Constitutional Group for our group, and then we have Meet at the Tavern for our podcast, and Two Average Guys doing a podcast, and Two Average Guys doing the book.
There's a lot of average guys in there.
Yeah, we're up to about 10 average guys.
So for the ones listening out there, if you want to get involved, our email is uscg20211@aol.com. But as you can see, we've had a busy couple weeks, and with Jack being sick. I know before Jack got sick, it was like a Thursday or a Wednesday, he called me, and I totally forgot to get back to him. And Angela, she sent a couple text messages, and I totally forgot to ask her and answer her questions. It's not personal. I'm not trying to forget about you guys, but with everything that's going on, I just get so wrapped up in what I'm doing that I can't focus on anything else. So again, I'm sorry for not getting back in touch with you guys.
Yeah, again, it's two average guys
Yep,
living
that's
an
it.
average life. We don't have staff.
So Margaret got us on Rumble. I haven't had time to.
Oh, did she? She didn't tell me that.
Yeah, she got us on Rumble. I haven't had time to do everything else that needs to go with it, but she signed us up, and she's amazing.
Wow, she didn't tell me that.
She's amazing.
All right, good job.
So everyone, thanks for helping. Especially Jack Jr., Angela, Margaret. We appreciate you. Stay with us. We have a lot of great things we want to accomplish,
Yes.
and we want you to be along with us for that ride, that journey.
Or political prison, whichever comes first.
Yeah, whatever comes first. We've been in Facebook jail a couple times. It don't matter. We honestly believe what we're doing here, and we want this movement. We want people to get excited, and we want people to get excited about politics again. The way things are going with our politicians, we know we're not excited about them right now,
Yeah, well.
and especially the way we're being treated by the media. But we can, with your help, we can make this movement a reality. So before we get into our topic, which is very important, I'm going to turn it over to Jack, and welcome back.
Well, thank you. I just want to say I got vaccinated, wear a mask at work every day, social distance at work every day, and you know what I did? I got COVID. So, the vaccination, my sister last week wrote a very nice thing on Facebook saying that, we all three had the vaccination. Me and Dennis got the vaccination, we were probably one of the first ones in the country because we got it way back early January, and they were selling it as a vaccination. It's not a vaccination. It's a booster shot. You get this shot, there's a possibility you get COVID. That being said, Ron DeSantis in Florida is running a really good program. He's setting up these COVID clinics around all the health facilities that if you get a positive test of COVID, you go right there and you get an appointment to get the antigen. It's an infusion. You sit in the hospital and they put it in. It's just like getting a certain amount of blood or whatever. It's through the plasma, I believe. You get this antigen, and if you've had the vaccine, which it shouldn't be called a vaccine, if you got the shot, it's like 48 hours, you're on your feet, you're doing good. You know, why this is not going on in the press and why is this not going on throughout the country? Like my buddy Matt says, when he heard that I had COVID and Missy and my son Jack, there's no money in a cure.
Right,
You know?
you're absolutely right.
So Fauci can't make his money. The news can't make their money. The politicians can't make their money. Nobody can make money if we're all cured. There's no cure, and there's no money in a cure.
They can't control us if we're cured.
Yeah, so Ron DeSantis, I take my hat off to you. So anyway, Margaret writes that we're not going to do a podcast because my whole family has COVID after we got the vaccination. And she gets a warning from Facebook. Like, maybe you should check our studies before you post this. In other words, me and my family don't know we have COVID. Facebook does. Thank God for the guy that runs Facebook.
Zuckerberg.
He's a genius. He literally knows inside my family that I should research this because I probably didn't get it the way it said we got it. So, again, to go back to our topic, you're selling this. Now, again, we say Fauci. When was the last? I don't even think Fauci knows what state the lab that he's assigned to is in. That's how long it's been since he's been in a lab. He's a bureaucracy. He's the richest bureaucracy in the country. He gets a cut from every vaccine that's sent out in the country. And that's why at 80 years old, he refuses to leave the limelight because I don't know how much money you need in life. At 80 years old, I don't know what you need more. You know, do the honorable thing, Dr. Fauci, and tell the truth. Let everybody know it's not a cure, it's not a vaccine, it's a help. You know, they say I probably would have had it much worse. My wife had it pretty bad. Get the antigen out there, you know, advertise it. But again, you're talking about the United States government, and all they're worried about is stealing money, looking good on TV with their $3,000 suit, and shaking down the country like the mafia. They're organized crime through D.C. All right? They're the biggest cartels in the world, and they have the largest constituency that just continues to leave them there and steal and reign in tyranny.
So the topic we feel very important that we're going to be talking about today hinges on a future meeting that Jack and I are having. We were supposed to have it last week, but with him being sick, it got canceled. We have a meeting with a few Republicans in Horry County who are just as disgusted with the Republican Party as we are, and we're sure you are too. We're not at liberty to tell you who they are right now, but we will tell you this. Republican committees, Democratic committees, and any other political committee out there, it's time for the old regime to stand down and make room for a new way of thinking. The old way of strict party control doesn't work anymore. And as we get into this podcast, you need to ask yourself and think about the following questions. Number one, when was the last time your elected representative reached out to you and informed you about what they are going to vote on and what's going on in the political climate, not only locally, but with our federally elected officials? That's number one. Number two, have they ever reached out to you to talk about H.R. 1, the current bill in Congress that Nancy Pelosi wants to pass today as we're given this podcast?
Today, while Afghanistan falls, the southern border is non-existent. COVID numbers are going through the roof. Inflation is outpacing pay by 1.5%. We got a 4% raise in cost of living raises, and the cost of living went up to 5.4. But she's worried about her. She needs to get voted in again. She's only 80.
I thought she was going to retire.
She retired a long time ago.
So we bet the answer to those questions, or the only time you hear from these people, is when they need your money and your vote. That's about it, because I never hear from them. I've sent them an email, and we got like lackluster responses back.
Yeah, they cringe when they
Yeah.
have to answer to us.
And one more question. Do you know what political party is the fastest growing party in the United States right now? So think about those questions as we get going. Because people all across America are leaving the Democratic and Republican Party in droves. They are fed up with the people who represent them and are looking for another option. And that option is the independent party.
Well, I want to take from the independent party, too. I believe that what we're about to do is so important, from the founding of this country to my grandchildren's future. And, the independent party is 34% of the voters. And I do believe that the biggest, the Republican Party members, the people that consider themselves either conservative or Republican, are completely frustrated. Mm-hmm. But I can guarantee you that members, true Democrats, that grew up, union guys, Democrat guys, labor guys, are very frustrated with the Democratic Party. And their union continues to donate, not to the Democratic Party, but to the Socialist Party of that. So,
we know what the experts will say. The Hannitys of the world, Mark Levin's. You can't start a third party. It'll take votes away from the Republican Party. And the Wolf Blitzers will say, oh, you can't start that. It'll take away from the Democratic votes. My question to them is this. What have these politicians, especially from the Republican Party, done for us? What have they done for us to deserve our votes and keep our commitment to them? I mean, the answer right now is they haven't done a damn thing. They put division between people with their lies, inaction, and partisan bickering. And that's why people are leaving these parties.
what do they do? I mean, we just named off a few things, all right? There's other things, all right? We don't have a southern border. Afghanistan is a disgrace. COVID's going up like crazy. Inflation's going up. Printing, the dollar is falling like a lead pipe. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, now the Taliban, now ISIS, now Al Qaeda. These are the enemies of the state, of our state that we live in. What they're looking at, and it's funny because the press and the Republicans, they're all, oh, what is he doing? What have you done? Please tell me what you're doing. What are you doing? You can't tell me. The majorities are so slim in the House of Representatives and the Senate. You're not going to tell me that the Republican Party is powerless, that they can't woo over a few strong Democrats to say, hey, this is wrong. We are going to pass things. You know what's going on in Afghanistan? You understand whose fault that is, right?
Whose?
White supremacy. Because it must be, because that four-star general told me so a month and a half ago. The Secretary of Defense told me so. The President of the United States told me so. So it must be white supremacy causing all of this. This is what I'm saying, folks. The Republicans helped bring that Secretary of Defense, that Secretary of State, Blinken, into office. They knew who Blinken was in 2014 when he ran as the Assistant Secretary of State for Obama. Said, this guy is a moron on the Senate floor. This guy cannot be trusted to put the good of the country ahead of anybody else. Now he got a promotion. Now he's the actual Secretary of State. You think his views have changed?
I would say he's still a moron.
No, and I think he hates America. And I think the Secretary of Defense hates America. The four-star general. You got to tell me that four-star general didn't understand what was going to happen in Afghanistan? The man's been in control. He's a three-star general running the military operations in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. Three-star. You're going to tell me this man could sit there and tell me he didn't know this was going to happen? Do I have moron written on my face? These are the people that deserve our loyalty? These are the people that deserve to get our tax dollar pay, insider trading and set up their family as they're voting on laws that their blind trust are investing in? Enough is enough. There is a book out there that tells these politicians how they're supposed to conduct themselves. It's called the Constitution of the United States. I don't think any of them have ever read it. If you go to law school, you know how many times you read the Constitution? 0. You're going to court to argue the statutes of the Constitution of the United States, and the whole time you're in law school, you don't read it? What kind of lawyers do we got?
Not very good ones today.
No, we don't. You know the guy that was running Afghanistan, the president of Afghanistan? He was a professor in Johns Hopkins University.
And where is he now?
He's walking around with hundreds, if not billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars. But his son was part of Buttigieg's campaign. His daughter is a high level in the United States. But this man steals hundreds of millions of dollars of our tax dollars. People going to work 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week, sweating to try and raise their family. And this son of a bitch takes our money and leaves the country to collapse. And what do we say? Where's the Republicans? Where's the Democrats? Where's the outrage? What do they care? They don't care. This is not their money. This is all make-believe to them. We're idiots. Let the fools keep going. It's like we're on a ship of fools here. I'm done being considered the moron of the United States. We need a new party, and it's not going to take from the Republican Party. It's going to take from the Republican Party. It's going to take from the Democratic Party. It's going to overrun the Independent Party because it's a simple process. It's called the Independent Constitutional Party, and it's got the name of both of the best written documents in our United States history: the Declaration of Independence, the Independent, and the Constitution of the United States, Constitutional Party. And if these politicians can't read a 25-page book, know it, live it, and love it, then they can stay in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. America's party is going to be the Independent Constitutional Party. For these reasons, folks, wake up. You, first and foremost, understand the Constitution. Read the Declaration. We read one paragraph of the Declaration of Independence 2 weeks ago, and we did a whole podcast on it. The writing that these founding fathers have done were so incredible that we could do 45-minute podcast on one paragraph. That's how powerful these people's thought process and writing skills were, and what they wanted for us. What they wanted us to live under. The Constitution of the United States. 34% of the voters identify as independent. There's our first grab. We get 34% of them to be independent constitutional parties, and then we start hitting the Democratic and the Republican parties. and explain to them why they're on a ship of fools if they don't leave.
Can you listen to him with the emotion of how frustrated he is? He's sitting 4 feet from me. And what he is saying is not only true, it is unbelievable. I see for myself his emotion and how angry he is with these parties. Okay, so starting an independent constitutional party might be the option we have. It fits in so well. Republicans and Democrats have done nothing. And I saw this on Facebook and it stuck out to me. Republicans and Democrats are nothing more than a pair of unfit parents in a custody battle over America. They're not hurting each other as much as they're hurting this country. So go back and listen to that. All right? Go back and listen. That's pretty powerful right there. It hits the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
I mean, we should stop talking right there from what Jack said, all this emotion, and create this party right now. Because we need people in office who love this country and take on these tyrants who refuse to give the power back to the people. We want term limits. We want constitutionalists. Okay? It's not just Republicans. It's not just the Democrats that are a problem. It's all of them. Okay? Again, they're a pair of unfit parents. They're hurting us more than they're hurting themselves. If that doesn't say anything about starting a third party, nothing does. I mean, we have a lot more to say, so we're not going to stop there.
Well, listen.
Let me finish one second here. I just want to mention one of the greatest presidents we ever had. His name was Ronald Reagan. And a long time ago, he was a Democrat before he was a Republican. And I remember hearing, he said, "I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me." Jack, you and I see the writing on the wall about these parties. We've seen it for a long time. They're not taking us seriously. So the possibility of creating a strong, united party with the independents is the way to go. Because we're not going to leave these parties. They've left us a long time ago.
Yep, that's exactly right. And if you need proof that these parties left you a long time ago, go back and listen to a few speeches that Ronald Reagan made. I mean, they're unbelievable. Look at what they did to a man that loved this country. The last person on this earth that needed to be the president of the United States was Donald Trump. The man had a successful business, children, grandchildren. I mean, his kids started running the business for him. This guy had the world exactly the way it was supposed to be. And he threw his hat into that ring, and he got mercifully ridiculed and beat up every day. If you don't think the Democratic Party left the Democrats of my father's day, my younger days when I first started being able to vote, just listening to the inaugural speech that John F. Kennedy did. The number one thing, ask not what your country could do for you, but what you could do for your country. I mean, does that sound like a Democrat? Does that sound like today's Democrat?
That sounds like an American right there.
Holy mackerel. That sounds like a World War II hero that refused to go to the Vietnam War because he had seen war from the front row and wasn't going to do it again. Yeah, you tell me. You listen to what these guys used to say and what they believed. And you tell me if that party did not leave the constituents. You know, like I said, just listen to his inaugural speech. The man loved this country. The man we have in office now hates this country, hates the unity of it, does everything it can to divide it. I mean, critical race theory. Number one threat to the United States is white supremacy? Man, I don't know. I'm watching the news. I see that way down the list of problems. Maybe a local problem here or there. But it ain't the United States. That's not the number one thing. You know, China is licking its chops over over
Afghanistan.
Taiwan, Afghanistan. Well, you know, Afghanistan's very rich in earthworks for those electric batteries that they want to run our cars with. You think China's not going to just walk into Afghanistan tomorrow after we leave and say, hey, here's a couple $100 million. Start your mining process.
Yep.
You know, they're going to have 100% of it because the bureaucracy of this country, the DEC that we've been complaining about, that once you start getting the independent constitutional party going and they run through the Constitution, we can start defunding these bureaucracies. You defund the bureaucracies that are out there. That way they can't make laws anymore. It goes back to our politicians. That's the job they're supposed to be doing, making the laws of the land. And the reason you want term limits is because you want this asshole to come back and live by the laws that he implemented. Right now, they don't have to live by the laws they implemented. We watch it every day. The FBI is not the FBI anymore, it's the KGB. Show me a person, I'll find you a crime. They don't do it in federal investigations anymore. The FBI is a joke from bottom to top. I don't care about the troops in the trenches anymore. You want to know something? If you were a troop in the FBI and you thought you were getting a black eye, you'd at least give a vote of no confidence in your leader. I haven't seen that in the FBI. I just see all the FBI guys going along with it. Stand up, guys. Tell your FBI guy, the lead guy, Chris, what's his last name?
I don't even remember.
Chris Wray. Chris Wray, that you have a vote of no confidence in this man. He's an idiot. Come on, folks. Tax dollars are going away. Trillions of dollars is being spent on we don't know what. It's being sent to places. I mean, why are we backing Pakistan? They've been hiding Al-Qaeda for 20 years, but yet they still get hundreds of millions of dollars. Why do we have troops in Germany? We're in Germany and we're part of NATO to keep Russia from taking over Europe. But we just let Russia run a pipeline to Germany. So Germany is now buying all of their fossil fuels from Russia instead of the United States. So you know what? You don't need us anymore. Goodbye. Good luck, Germany. You want it? You signed it? It's yours. We're leaving. You don't want out fossil fuel? Good luck. Take care. We'll stay at Kuwait. We'll take our troops from your base and we'll put it in Kuwait. Kuwait's still one of our allies. What are we doing, people? This is ignorance on our part. The constituent left these animals, these tyrants in office for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years. They shouldn't be there 12 years. And the bureaucracies that are out there should be defunded. You want to know why? Because the federal government shouldn't be worrying about what's going on in my backyard. You know who should be worrying about what's going on in my backyard? Governor McMaster. And he should make up some. If there's a pollution problem, then he should get SLED down there. He should get his legislators to write laws about it and take care of it on the state level.
You know, we've talked about all the bureaucracies they want to add. When we talked about our Unity Task Force recommendations, it was a 5-part miniseries and where they want to change, radically change our country. So go back and listen to that. But I just wanted to give an example of why I felt and why I do feel the Republican Party has left me. Besides a few outspoken Republicans, a majority of these politicians have remained silent that are affecting this country. The border crisis, the riots of 2020, COVID, you name it, they are quiet. We haven't even heard from our congressman down here, Tom Rice, South Carolina's 7th Congressional District, on any issue except the impeachment issue.
Yeah, he was a big ass then.
Yeah. I mean, you send him an email, you hope you got the right address, number one, and you hope you get a response back. I've told you before, we've told you before, we've emailed him questions in the past.
Sorry, folks.
Doesn't even respond to the second question. Another one, Senator Fry. I sent him an email 2 months ago regarding the gun legislation down here in South Carolina. Still have not got a reply back from him.
He's a state senator, right?
He's a state senator. Both of these individuals do not have my support. If you can't take the time to answer my questions or even my email, I can't take the time to vote for you. We are sure a lot of registered Republicans feel the way we do. So again, who is leaving who? I wasn't leaving the Republican Party, but they sure as hell are leaving me. They're leaving me way, way behind, just like everyone else.
Yeah, they have their own cocktail parties too.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we have a lot of work ahead of us.
Oh, we do. A lot.
We have a podcast we're doing. We're going to write a book, and we're going to try and get a new party going. Now, we've looked into separately what it's going to take to get a third party going. And from what I saw, it's going to take a lot, but it's nothing we can't do. And why can't we do it? I'll tell you why. And I've had this attitude my whole life. You know, I got on the New York City Police Department, and I got promoted to sergeant. And a lot of people said, if a guy like him can make it, I can make it. Which is a backhanded compliment. I could take it. I'm not an educated guy. I barely went to high school. When I was in the police department, I loved being a sergeant, and I found it was very easy for me to go up in rank, and I felt like I got that licked. So I started my own business, and people said, you can't start your own business. You know nothing about it. And I didn't. I opened my own business delivering home heating oil. And later on, we got into fixing oil burners and stuff like that, and then we went back to just doing home heating oil. But I did it. I never drove a truck before, never had a CDL. Not only did I end up getting a CDL, but I got tanker endorsement, hazmat endorsement, air brake endorsement. I had to get a permit from the state. It was called an R number, so I could transport that fuel, insurance, equipment. I had to get all of this stuff. Everything I had, bills, the receipts, everything came from me. I had to do it. Nobody to go. Me and Dennis, we decided to start a group. We do the group. We decided to do a podcast. We do the podcast. We decide to write a book. We're writing a book. We want to do a third party. We're going to do a third party. And the reason why you could do all of this is because this is the United States of America. What me and Dennis are doing right now, you wouldn't be able to do in Germany. Germany, if you want to become a nurse, you go to school, you become a nurse. That's it. You're going to be a nurse forever. To change your job in Germany is very difficult because they got to send you back to school again. You're not allowed to be a chef unless you go to school. You can't be a roofer unless you go to school. Got to go to school. So if you become a roofer and decide, not really loving this job, I'd like to be an electrician instead, no can do. Unless you're so spectacular that they could retrain you and send you back to school and bring you back out as an electrician. But that's the government to decide. We can do what we want to do because this is the United States. It's the greatest country in the world. We're going to do it. We have support. We have our loved ones. They're going to push us through it. And you'll see. We're going to get a book done. This podcast is going to be a success. And that third party is going to be a reality.
America is a place where we can dream and accomplish our goals. But check this out. You all know I love statistics. Gina, I hated math. You know that. You helped me through. I appreciate it. But listen to these numbers.
Created a monster.
She did. People registered to the independent party make up 34 million people, like Jack said. All right? That's 33% of all registered voters. They're slightly behind Democrats, who poll at 34%. But you know who they are ahead of? The Republican Party, who only poll at 29% of registered voters. What's that tell us? People aren't signing up to be Republicans anymore. These numbers...
Why do you think that?
I think people are fed up with the Republican Party right now. I even think they're done with the Democratic Party, but they're not ready to change over just yet. But they will be soon.
I almost feel like the Republican Party is like the little brother of the family. They're always ready to.
I think they're redheaded stepchildren.
Yeah,
of the
they're
family.
ready to settle for the scraps.
Yep.
And then they get on TV and say, "Oh, look what happened to us. Can you believe this? And what's so for you folks?" But when they have the lead,
They don't take.
they don't know how to do it.
They don't know how to lead.
They don't.
So you think all these numbers would panic the Republican Party? You think they figure out they're losing their base? They're losing people for a reason. They're not being represented properly. Do your job the correct way or get out of the way, which is why a third party is probably the only way.
I honestly do believe that, Dennis.
You know, yeah, I agree too. This two-party system isn't the two-party rule isn't the answer anymore.
You know, I would almost not mind later on in our life when we're out of this and people are running it and it's a success, that you have an independent constitutional party, as long as, even if that's split into two parties, but as long as they're still debating the Constitution.
Right.
If your still argument is out of the Constitution of the United States, I can agree with the task ahead of you.
Yep. Like I said, this two-party rule, it doesn't work anymore. We're tired of political bickering. We're tired of people not finding common ground on issues that matter to us. We want candidates to play by the rules that apply to us too. We want them to apply to them because they think they're above the rules. I just want to mention one area where I think we can make common ground. And we've talked about this on other podcasts, is illegal immigration. We need a secure border and have immigrants come to this country the proper way. But we also realize there are millions of illegal immigrants in this country right now that have been here for a long time, and some of them are actually active. They're productive members of society. So Democrats need to come together with Republicans to secure our borders first, and then create a reasonable pathway to citizenship for those 11 million people that are illegal. Our Constitution is being violated daily by this administration. I'm not even going to say his name anymore because in my opinion, he's worthless. By having illegal immigrants flood our country. This isn't rocket science. It's common sense action that needs to be taken. But then again, we don't have any common sense with our politicians in office right now. Independents want common ground. They want to stop the partisan bickering and solve the issues that we all face. Like I said, we're only in the talking stages. We haven't decided. But if we did go with this, we think we'd call it the Independent Constitutional Party. That sounds like, you're right, Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, two of the greatest documents ever written in our history that need to be followed.
And there's a third of the people that consider themselves independent.
Correct.
And that's what this country was founded on in the beginning. Independent.
That's right.
They wanted to be independent from the King of England for reasons that were stated and numbered in the Declaration of Independence.
You know, so we start this party, so we're ready to collect some donations and ready to find some independent candidates to run for office that will take guidance from us. Not committees, take guidance from an independent constitutional or people. So say someone's running against Tom Rice. One candidate, it's easy to support. You go out and get their petitions so they can get your ballot, your party line ballot. I mean, so far so good, I hope. Where you're running into a problem, when you have more than one candidate running for office. And I think this is where we can be different, Jack. These incumbent politicians believe they have the right to our party line. And most of them have the party chairmen in their pocket.
Absolutely.
And these party chairmen have their local committees who give their people petitions and tell them who they are backing. They don't have a choice. Tom Rice, this is who we're backing. Go out and get ballots for him. Real American system right there. So they go out and get the petition signed. And like again, they told them what to do. I mean, you're going to back this guy. If not, don't help us. You know, they do everything for this candidate, from fundraisers to get out the vote campaigns, phone banks, whatever it takes to get this candidate elected. We've done this a couple times before. So this is where our party will be different, Jack. if we do decide to create this independent constitutional party, and I think people are ready for this movement, our committee will remain neutral all primary season and only back a candidate when they have met the criteria to be on our ballot and have secured the votes through a primary system. We don't raise money for them. We don't do fundraising. We don't do anything for them until they win that primary. What do you think so far?
Well, if I understand why you're doing it, it makes perfect sense to me. Because the way I see doing it that way is this. I think Dennis feels the same way, that the weakest point in today's political system is the constituent. Mm-hmm. The constituent gets led around by the nose when they are involved. And when they're not involved, they say, I'm not interested. I don't know. They all lie. It doesn't make a difference. So, if you don't have party influence on the first part of this campaign, in these primaries, who's going to be the one to get them there? Themselves and the constituents. Mm-hmm. So that forces your politician to go out and talk to the constituents that he wants to vote for them. And again, our job here, we can't forget what our first job is, and that's education. You have to educate yourself. And the biggest educational book there is the United States Constitution. Read the Declaration of Independence. Read the Constitution of the United States. If you find a spot in the Constitution of the United States that you don't understand, then you buy the Federalist Papers. And you start doing this where it doesn't take a lot of time. You know, again, we say all the time, you're allowed to talk about your government every day. You're allowed to act certain times of the year. So we have a very big time that's going to be ready for us to act on. And the Constitution, the constituents have to start working on educating themselves. Understand what you need out of your politician. There is a book. It's a rule book that these people are supposed to be running your government by. And I don't think they know it. I think you can ask Tom Rice, what is Article 1? He wouldn't tell you. He wouldn't know what Article 1 is. He wouldn't know what Article 1, 2, or 3 are. And that's a shame. I don't think they really know. Never mind debate it and quote it verbatim. They don't even know it. So, as a constituent, educate yourself, get involved in the primaries, and hopefully someday this independent constitutional party will be big enough to help your candidate that you decided represents your neighborhood, you, your family, and your neighbors best into office.
Two things that you said there that stand out to me. The first is the Federalist Papers and the Constitution and Declaration of Independence. You don't have to buy them. Go on our website and take a look at them. You can download them for yourself. You can get it for free. And the other part you said, and I'm glad you mentioned it, is education. Because that brings me to what I wanted to say. You must be reading my mind.
See that?
I know Margaret is. So last week I was talking to Margaret. We're talking about Facebook, and she told me someone sent her a message on Facebook, instead, in a roundabout way, stated that people should not get involved and people shouldn't use their influence to get other people to do things. People should make up their own minds. I assume this person was a Democrat because they said she was from New York, and that's fine. If that's the way your way of thinking, I'm not going to argue that. That's good. But maybe people don't understand what our goals are, Jack. So I'd like to give them a little refresher, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So we educate. We never try to influence anyone. We'll tell you things that we've learned through our research that hopefully will give you more knowledge to make better choices when electing politicians to very important offices, whether it be federal, state, county, or local positions. If you take our advice, that's great. If not, that's okay too. You're entitled to your opinions, but we will never, ever try to influence anyone. The ones that are influencing people are the ones we just mentioned. these Republican committees, these Democratic committees, to go out and get petitions signed for the people they say you're going to support. This is the person you're going to support. The political parties, the incumbents from the state, local level who are using their influence. Jack is right. Education is our goal. We're a little sorry this podcast ran a little bit longer than the last ones.
Well, we had 2 weeks to work on it.
That's true. But this information we're getting out is very important. Our future depends on what we do as citizens today. There should be no longer a rite of passage to get a party line ballot. You must earn it. Jack and I feel we can make this political. This is a good one, Jack. I like that. I like how I put this one. This makes me feel good. We can change the political landscape for the next 100 years by creating something as powerful as an independent constitutional party that people will be talking about. They'll be talking about you, me, your son, Margaret, long after we departed this earth. Our great-great-great-grandchildren will be saying, my dad, my great-grandfathers, and his friend started that movement 100 years ago. And because of them, we're a free country. How powerful would that be? That is amazing, isn't it?
Jump on board, folks. This could be, Abraham Lincoln didn't want to get involved in politics because he thought the greatest parts of accomplishment had been succeeded already by our founding fathers. Well, I have a feeling that we have an opportunity to re-excite the patriotism of this country again. And if we could do it in this way, the Independent Constitutional Party, and start getting people elected that understand the Constitution, understand the Declaration. Why was the Declaration of Independence written? Why was the Constitution of the United States written? Why were the Federalist Papers written? Ask yourself these questions. These are great documents written by great people, forward-thinking people. You think we have forward-thinking people in running this country today? They can't even figure out how to wipe their ass. Forget about making any kind of crazy decision. Our oldest allies are questioning themselves right now because of the leaders that we put into this country. It is time for us to take responsibility on our lackluster job we have done in having the representatives ruling this country. And I think we have an exciting moment where we can get a third party. The rules are already made. And maybe that's why we do things like this, Dennis, because we oversimplify it.
Yeah.
But the rule book is there for our leaders. It was written hundreds of years ago. Pick it up, dust it off, read it, understand it, and study it. And then demand from your rulers, demand them the same work ethic you have. You have a hard work ethic out there, folks. You go to work every day, you pay your bills, you raise your family. In the United States fashion, true red, white, and blue fashion is the way you conduct your life. Well, now your rulers have to live the same way. And once we start getting this going, and we do start getting certain things put in effect, like term limits, well, now these rulers, you know what these rulers have to do now? These statesmen, these politicians, they're going to have to come back home and live by the laws that they have implemented for your grace. Now they have to live by them because they only had term limits. They only had whatever it is, 10 years, 12 years, 6 years, whatever they're allowed to do. Whatever the outcome comes, when this gets down on the ground and we have a platform and we have our bylaws of this political party that these politicians have to live by, you folks will be responsible for it, and you are going to be in a very exciting place in life when you're starting this out with us. I can't wait to do it. I can't see how it fails. And I think it shows the greatest days, the greatest ingenuity, the greatest parts of us are coming ahead of us.
We feel there's enough patriots out there to make this a reality. But before I get back to that, the politicians we have in Washington today, every one of them, have made this country less safe with the Taliban taking over the reins in Afghanistan. It can be a terrorist haven. There's no can be. It will be a terrorist haven. Our adversaries are waking up and they're saying, yeah, we got them. We got the US of A exactly where we want them. The Taliban has given us an August 31st deadline to get our people out.
Now, again, to the people out there that don't pay particular attention to certain things, the Taliban, you know what they did? They took their black burqas and put them in their house and left them there for 20 years. And they waited. And now we're leaving. And everybody goes, how did they take over the capital? How did they take over the whole country? Well, they never went anywhere. As soon as we left, they went through their front door, went into their closet, took their black burqa out, and put it back on. Dusted off their rifle. Afghanistan has overthrown the United Kingdom, Russia, and now the United States. If you think these people are a joke, and they're just mountain hillbillies that don't know what they're doing, they adhere to a very strict religion. It's not a forgiving religion. You can never make a mistake in that religion. If you make a mistake in that religion, you get punished. You never get forgiven. You will never be forgiven by that religion. You will always be punished. And that's what these rules, they play by. They play by a religion that rules their world, that is completely unforgiving, and will punish you every time you make a mistake in life.
The Taliban knew eventually the United States was going to leave. That is why they never left their country. They were just biding their time, just like China is doing now with the United States. They're biding this time. They're biding their time. When this party becomes reality, we're going to be looking at independent candidates who want to run for office. Just be on notice. When you come in front of us, you better have your act together. You better know the Constitution, and you better understand the government belongs to we, the people.
Outside of D.C.
Right. And you better understand it's a privilege to represent the people of this country, not a right. So don't expect an endorsement unless you have all your ducks in a row. Again, we're sorry we went a little bit longer, so I'm going to turn it over to Jack for his final thoughts.
My final thought is this: excitement. I love coming to a new horizon. And that's what the United States is. It's a new horizon in everything. Everything you do every day, you have an opportunity for a new horizon in life. You know, my old partner, he retired from the police department and he runs a business. And when he started his business, he had a laundry list of things that he would do for people's houses. And the same thing kept coming up: gutters. Well, you know, this man is running a successful American company, taking care of people's gutters throughout Long Island, upstate New York, 5 boroughs, and now Connecticut. You can't do that in any other country. He retired lieutenant from New York City Police Department, started his own business, is a complete success. You can't, we just explained, you can't do that in other countries. The horizons that this country affords every American to wake up. Again, when you read the Declaration of Independence, all men are equally created equal. Not at the end of your life, at the beginning of your life. Everybody has the equal opportunity to go and do your dreams that you want to do. So go do them. This is ours. We're going to make a third party. We're going to make it a success. We're going to get the people that belong to that party educated, and we're going to get this to be a free country that we grew up in, proud.
American success story. Just have to look back at Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy.
Yeah.
He was addicted to drugs, down and out, and had nothing. And look what he's created. But this two-party system is losing voters daily. We're tired of politicians of both parties. Starting a third party is probably the most sensible option that we know will work. We'll have a lot of critics along the way, and we'll get a lot of pushback from politicians and these so-called experts, plus these idiots in the media who don't do their job anymore. They're just an extension of all political parties. Stay tuned. When we launch this party, we're going to need your help. We're going to need our friends, we're going to need our family to get this off the ground. Just want to say one more thing. I'm glad you guys are feeling better.
Thank you.
And it's great to see you guys. It's been 2 weeks. And remember, knowledge is power. We'll see you next week at the tavern.